Plants and trees you shouldn't touch. There are people who adore nature since, for some, it is the ideal setting for relaxation. However, did you know that there are some trees and plants in the vast outdoors that you should never touch? Not only should you not touch these trees, but it's true, it might be dangerous to stand too close to them. You have plants that may cause you to have hallucinations just by smelling their leaves, trees with deadly thorns on their trunks, trees that can poison you fatally, and trees whose seeds explode with the force of a hand grenade. So not only do you have to be on the lookout for dangerous animals, besides the possibility that trees themselves could cause you harm. So now the forest doesn't feel as peaceful anymore. You don't need to worry because TWN will hold your hand and help you escape the wilderness unharmed. Brutal Bunyas. Let's look at a place where anything, even insects and animals, can kill you, but where the vegetation is waving its hands and pleading not to be left out. Yes, I'm talking about the continent of Australia. You are taking a leisurely stroll through Australia's woods when you stop to rest under a century-old tree with rigged and pointed leaves. Oh, did I mention that this tree can reach a height of 100 feet? In terms of years, bunya pines are incredibly old trees that have existed since the time of the dinosaurs, or 199 million years ago. If you want to handle this tree, you must wear safety equipment. The leaves' pointed edges are the reason. These trees shed enormous pine cones between December and March. The massive pine cones can weigh up to 40 pounds each. The next time you go for a walk in an Australian forest, just be careful not to stand underneath a bunya pine, because you might sustain the largest concussion of your life from a seed that is roughly the weight of a 5-year-old. Also, keep in mind that these seeds are dropped from the equivalent of a 9-story building. If one of these seeds strike you in the head, you could suffer brain damage, similar to what happened to Sean Mace, who is suing San Francisco Maritime Park for $5 million after being hit by a 16-pound spiky pine cone. The military veteran, who was 55 at the time, suffered a critical brain injury. The bunya pine seeds are consumed by locals. They have markings on most bunya trees, which makes it easier so they can climb the tall trees and harvest the seeds before they fall to the ground. Atropa Belladonna. One of the most dangerous plants on the planet is Atropa Belladonna, sometimes known as deadly nightshade. These berries resemble the jobacaba berry in size and appearance. You can eat the jobacaba berry, but you shouldn't be so gracious enough to eat the deadly belladonna, because the deadly nightshade berry can cause hallucinations, convulsions, and insanity with just one bite. Eating 2 of these berries will alter your heart rate, cause you to forget how to breathe, and maybe cause you to lose control of your sweat glands. These symptoms may be lethal when combined. Therefore, the easiest strategy to avoid consuming deadly nightshade is to inquire by the locals about the safety of this berry. It is native to Europe, North Africa, and Western Asia. Wild parsnips. Wild parsnips are somewhat less painful than huge hogweeds, yet quite similar. The blossoms aren't white, but rather yellow. They have sap, just like the enormous hogweeds. In the northern United States and southern Canada, wild parsnips is widespread. Its distribution extends south to Louisiana and north to California. It is not found in Hawaii, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. They won't reach the same height as the enormous hogweed. If you touch this plant, immediately wash off the sap and avoid being in the sun for at least 48 hours. They are widely distributed throughout several nations like Europe and Asia. So if you find this plant in your backyard, then you should hire a pro rather than fight this plant yourself. The world's dangerous plant. One of the deadliest plants in the world is the Gympie Gympie, or commonly called the stinging tree. Some people also refer to this plant as the suicide plant. It stings really badly, and many people consider it to be the most agonizing sensation ever. The delicate white hairs of the leaves are actually needles laced with moradin. The plant's hairs might pierce your skin, which will cause you even more pain. Animals suffer severe harm as a result. Locals of certain towns in Australia have witnessed horses jumping off cliffs because they couldn't bear the pain any longer. The discomfort may persist for several months or even longer if you don't remove the small needles from your body. People that have been stung by this tree say it feels like you're simultaneously being burnt by hot acid and electric. An Australian police officer accidentally used toilet paper containing the leaf of Gympie Gympie. The cop shot himself because the suffering was so excruciating. Australia's rainforests are a popular location for Gympie Gympie flora. Other people have said that the stinging of the tree is like 30 wasp stings at one time. Just standing next to a Gympie tree can be hazardous because if one of its needles breaks off from its leaves and you inhale said needles, it can become harmful to your lungs. If you touch the plant, get medical attention or receive treatment to remove hairs from your skin. If you are unable to accomplish any of these things, use tweezers or adhesive tape. Hidden honey locust. These trees can be found all throughout the U.S., and in the fall their leaves change color to an orange hue. But be aware of these trees since they concealed around 4-inch long spear-shaped thorns beneath their foliage. The longest thorns yet discovered were 11 inches in length. The flowers on these trees give forth a lovely and pleasant aroma, but if you lean too close to the tree, it can be fatal. These trees have huge, vicious thorns that can pierce the tires of tractors. So if the thorns on these trees can pierce tractor tires, then what do you think it does to your legs? That's right, the thorns are powerful enough to pierce skin and break bones. Just picture yourself in the middle of a dense forest, forced to carry yourself to safety after being defeated by a tree who couldn't move. These trees didn't receive the signal that they are no longer needed to protect themselves, according to scientists who discovered that they produce thorns to fend off enormous prehistoric mammals like the woolly mammoth. You should avoid this tree altogether because it will protect yourself at all costs. Black locust tree. Just by being near the relative of the hidden honey locust tree, the black locust tree possesses similar ornaments. The black locust tree has fewer and shorter spikes than its cousin, but unlike its cousin, this tree contains a poison called robin. Kidney failure and muscle weakness can result from a dang from this tree. You should be careful to avoid this tree and its relative, the hidden honey locust, as they are still stuck in the past, and because they both believe that they must defend themselves against large prehistoric animals. Number 7, poison ivy. An extremely deadly plant that is easy to find is poison ivy. If you come in contact with poison ivy, then you should know it can cause many rashes, blisters, and bubbles. Additionally, its sap is highly infectious. Within 12 to 72 hours, the reaction will begin. If you touch this plant, wash off the sap as quickly as you can to prevent spreading it throughout the entire area. Everywhere in the United States except Alaska, Hawaii is home to poison ivy. The eastern and midwestern states are where it is more prevalent. Outside of the United States, it is less frequent, although it is still present on every continent. Don't burn any poison ivy plants you find at home or in the neighborhood because inhaling the smoke would cause inside harm. Inhaling this type of smoke can cause severe respiratory issues that can be fatal, as well as painful lung inflammation. If you have ingested poison ivy sap, visit a doctor right away because this too can lead to death. Number 8, giant hogweed. Giant hogweed is a very painful plant that can be quite harmful. Its sap is exceedingly poisonous and makes your skin incredibly sensitive. If you expose your skin to the sun after coming in contact with giant hogweeds, then you can develop third-degree burns or perhaps go blind. Central and Southwest Asia is original home of giant hogweed. Due to its amazing size, it was initially introduced to the United States as an ornament in the early 1900s. It can be found growing alongside railroad ditches, stream banks, railroad right-of-ways, fallow fields, and other distributed moist soil areas. If you touch the plant, wash both yourself and anything else you come in contact with. Additionally, wait at least 48 hours before exposing your skin to the sun. Do not touch this plant if you find it in your home or nearby. Instead, contact a specialist or an expert to get it out. The plant has a 14-foot maximum height, which may be a formidable opponent for you or your family. Number 9, monkey no climb tree. Unless you want to add a few new holes to the palms of your hands, avoid touching this tree. The monkey no climb tree is an indigenous to South America and the United States. The sight of this tree should cause fear. This tree, which can reach a height of 100 feet, is known as the monkey no climb tree because its bark resembles tiny daggers that can reach the length of 1 inch. This tree has the ability to puncture various areas of your body with only one touch. Not only is this tree's spiky bark dangerous, but it also secretes a sap that may literally render you blind with just one drop of sap getting into your eyes. Now that you have given it some thought, why does this tree act like a castle? Is it because it bears a delicate fruit that resembles a green pumpkin? But are you aware that this fruit turns into hand grenades? Yes. When its fruit reaches a full maturity, its once soft skin hardens, and when it withers away and lands on the ground, the fruit bursts with 150 miles per hour force. This enables the seeds to escape the tree and grow afar, afield to form a new tree fortress. They have reported that when the sandbox tree seeds explode, it sounds like a gunfire. So if I were you, I wouldn't want to be in its line of fire. Number 10, anonymous oranges. If you are out in the forest and you pass by this tree, you might assume it produces an orange or an orange pear-shaped like fruit. But if you peel one of these fruits, you'll quickly realize that this tree doesn't produce any types of oranges you have eaten in your past. You might not live long enough to tell people how one of these fruits tastes if you still have the need to eat it. Because this fruit carries the toxin strychnine, and you should alert people of its presence. That's right, the fruit and seeds of this tree contain strychnine. Strychnine can produce uncontrollable muscle contractions If you take significant amount of it, death and convulsions may be the result from this. Strychnine can still be a major issue, even in small doses too low to cause symptoms. The head, neck, and arms are capable of bending into a bridge position. This is an uncomfortable and painful pose that you are unable to manage because doing so will result in asphyxiation. This is a result of your body being under constant stress. This tree is only found in India and Southeast Asia, and it is credited for preventing the Black Plague from spreading outside of those continents that was affected by the Black Plague. This is because rats who eat this fruit perish, so you might see the name strychnine on the back of your rat poison containers. So don't be timid and let the rodents enjoy this tree. Number 11, the cold killer. This mysterious tree seems to be killing birds for no reason. The tree's dense canopies allow birds to build their nests inside of its limbs. In order to prevent two trees from competing for the same resources, they, like many other plants, rely on insects and other animals to deliver their seeds. This tree stands out because it disperses seeds that are extremely sticky and gooey to the touch. The seeds are so sticky till they cling onto the bird's feathers, suggesting that something went wrong with the tree's preparations. It is a pitiful sight to witness birds with up to 200 seeds stuck to their feathers, render them incapable of flight, movement, or self-liberation. This causes immobility, exhaustion, famine, or the potential to fall victim to predators easily. One species of turtle dove consumes the Pisonia seeds, and although they still cling to their feathers and stick to the bird, they appear to avoid any fatal entanglements. Many scientists are unsure why this tree has become a bird killer. Number 12, the apple of death. If you ever have the good fortune to be relaxing on a Caribbean beach, you might believe the trees lining the coastline will give you some well-deserved shade. But if you ever encounter these trees with red markings, this is a warning to stay away from these trees. You may need to ramp up the RPMs under the bottoms of your feet while you make a break for it. You need to get out of there immediately, since the manchineel tree is one of the most toxic trees on the planet. The tree's milky white sap is poisonous to touch. Even a light touch could cause blisters due to the sap's extreme poisonous. The sap's irritants can also result in second-degree burn. The danger posed by a single drop of this sap's irritants can cause blindness. During rainy season, sap may mix with the precipitation. If you stand beneath this tree, inhale its fragrances, it can be harmful or even fatal. It may penetrate your body and burn your lungs. The community had to put up warning signs advising people not to touch the trees and read cautionary advertisement warning people to avoid them because the effects of the sap are also harmful. We should also point out that the manchineel tree is extremely hazardous for other reasons as well. The beach apple is the name given by the locals to a green fruit produced by the manchineel tree. This fruit appears very much like a granny green apple to the unaided eye, but when tasting it, you will quickly realize that it is not your grandmother's apple. This green fruit can set your tongue on fire for hours just for one taste. Pina colada may be required for up to 6 hours or more. Or you might need to gulp milk to get your body's burning sensation under control, so keep that in mind. The little green fruit, which resembles an apple, can be fatal if consumed. Symptoms: temporary blindness, severe skin scorching and burning. Wash with soap and water as a remedy. If a strong response occurs, seek medical attention. Number 13, Gympie Tree. The lovely blooms that hang from this tree certainly put on a show at first glance. Thoughts of smelling the roses may be the first thoughts that come to your mind, but you shouldn't actually smell these trumpets. Yes, the stunning blossoms are known as angel trumpets, but after learning more about this tree, you might refer to its flowers as Satan trumpet. Although this tree was originally native to South America, it is now distributed all over the world, including America. Its scientific name is Brugmansia. That's correct. Your backyard may be home to this deadly tree. There are people on the internet that may teach you how to grow this devil flower in your backyard. This tree, which may reach a height of 20 feet, is entirely covered in trumpet-shaped flowers. You must take precautions if you want to touch its blossoms, because any touch could result in anticholinergic syndrome. This indicates it affects your central nervous system, paralyzing and confusing the victim. Before working with this tree, scientists must wear hazmat suits. This tree can cause auditory and visual hallucinations in many people. Studies have shown that hallucinations may be quite frightening. Thus, by touching this tree, your worst nightmares might come true. People enjoy living on the edge because there are stories of people who drank red trumpet's tea and later regretted doing so. After drinking the tea, a man ended up severing his trumpet and his tongue as a result of his vivid hallucination. Number 14, Pokeweed. You may have discovered trees covered with scrumptious blackberries if you visit orchards in different forests in Brazil. Yes, these blackberries are okay to eat before you act. The jobocaba tree is the source of these berries. 3 Brazilian states are home to these berries. Only a few months out of the year, jobocaba berries bloom, and it's during this season where they cover tree trunks like the blob. 3 to 4 days after being harvested, these berries begin to ferment. Therefore, before they go bad, the locals make jam, jelly, alcohol, or juice out of the berries. However, if you come across any bushes with dark berries that sprout from brightly covered purple stems, you may have found what is known as pokeweed or imposter berries. These berries, as opposed to the scrumptious jobocaba berries, may result in asphyxiation, painful cramps, and respiratory problems after eating them. After ingesting pokeweed, a burning sensation feeling in the mouth is the first sign of toxicity. In addition, it may result in diarrhea, vomiting, rapid pulse, and headaches. Pokeweed poisoning can result in convulsions, low blood pressure, and even death if a significant amounts of the plant have been consumed. Now that we have discussed the disadvantages of using pokeweed, some say there are several advantages to using this plant. Some use pokeweed as a medicine. They use the berries, root, and leaves in different methods. People use pokeweed for a variety of conditions, including skin infections, swollen and tender breasts, achy muscles and joints, swelling of the nose, throat, and chest, and many others despite serious safety concerns. However, there is little reliable scientific evidence to back up these claims. They employed the pokeweed fruit as a wine coloring ingredient, as well as a red food coloring in meals. Pokeweed berries are utilized in production of ink and dye. If you have learned anything from this video, then please make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel as we provide you with more great videos in the future.